Chapter 1. The hour hand pointed to the number 2, it was late at night, and only the ticking sound of the clock was left in the darkness. On the big bed slept a fair-skinned woman with a slender figure. The delicate brows furrowed slightly, the small face was densely covered with fine sweat, and the long seaweed-like hair was partially spread on the pillow and partly adhered to the face. The nightdress looked messy because of the struggle, the chest rose and fell violently, and the breathing became more and more rapid, as if someone was strangling the neck, and I was about to lose my breath. Suddenly, the closed eyes opened, and they were red with water. She subconsciously looked down at her body and breathed a sigh of relief. It has been a while since she returned to this world, but every late at night, the pain of her body being crushed and Song Ro's poisonous face would always reappear in her dreams. As if afraid that she wouldn't be able to breathe, she drove the car over and over herself again and again, with a crazy smile on her face. It is unimaginable that the gentle and amiable Aunt Song, the father's distant cousin, turned out to be Bai Yuiguang, whom his father reunited with after a long absence. And the good man who takes good care of himself and his mother is nothing more than a hypocritical careerist. While enjoying the wealth of his wife's family, he also gave birth to an illegitimate child with Bai Yuiguang. She and her mother were played around by them like fools. First, he treated Song Ro's mother and son as relatives and lured the wolf into the room. He also believed the nonsense that his company was poorly managed and was about to declare bankruptcy. He forced his mother to divorce, and turned around and took his mistress's illegitimate son to set up another company. Her mother was so devastated that she committed suicide, but she actually had a hint of expectation for Lu Huiming, expecting him to come to see her mother. As a result, he was deceived by Song Ro into a trick into the remote Xishan Park and tortured to death. She thought that she and her mother were too stupid and naive to blame for all this, but she found that this was just her fate. The moment she woke up again, the plot of The President's Heart appeared out of thin air in her mind, telling the sweet love story of the domineering President Rong Shi and his little secretary Feng Mingchu, and the whole world framework was no different from the world she was in. It's ridiculous, but it's true. The world she is in is a book, and she is a small cannon fodder in it, and her only role is to be the accelerant of the relationship between the male and female protagonists. He rubbed his eyebrows and put on his clothes and got out of bed. Pulling open the heavy curtains and staring at the endless black like ink dyeing, her eyes were like black gems, glowing with a strange light, and the corners of her lips were raised, revealing a shallow pear vortex. Do it all over again, no matter how stupid you are, you can't save it, dear Dad, your mask is going to be worn tightly. What about cannon fodder? Cannon fodder also has human rights, how far you can roll when you are allowed, it is best to stay with your little secretary forever. The next morning, Sheng, the little lazy pig is up for breakfast, aren't you going to the company with me? Lu Huiming patted Yixing's hot sleeping cheek dotingly, and his tone was gentle. Yixing turned around a little unhappily and muttered softly, Dad, I'll sleep for a while, be good, if you don't get up, you'll be late, and you'll have to blame your father for not calling you when you come back. Lu Huiming was still gentle, but the smile on his face had faded a little. Just a minute, Dad, you go out first. Yixing pleaded coquettishly. Okay, I really can't do anything about you. Lu Huiming said helplessly and dotingly, stood up straight, straightened his clothes and walked out of the room, and the action of bringing it to the door was also cautious. As soon as he walked out of the room, all the gentle breath in his body faded, and his thin lips pursed tightly. When Lu Huiming brought the door, Yixing got up from the bed, and he couldn't see that he was sleepy just now. She was awake before he even came in. If she hadn't seen his ruthless side, she would have believed in his superb acting skills, and he was really a good father who doted on his daughter. Hey, Sheng, are you up? Seeing Yixing neatly dressed and coming down from upstairs, Yishuan stopped eating, her eyes widened. Just now your father told me that you are a little lazy pig and you can't shout, let me go back and testify to him. Yixing's little face turned red, he ran over and hugged Yishuan's arm, and glared at Yi Huiming shamefully and angrily. Dad, you are too good, speak ill of me to my mother. Yi Huiming smiled awkwardly and touched his nose. Okay, it's my father's fault. That's pretty much it. Yixing smiled with satisfaction, revealing a shallow pear vortex, delicate and cute. Just at this moment, the servant brought her breakfast. Sheng, go back to work for the first time today, do you feel nervous? Lu Huiming asked. No, isn't there a father? Dad will definitely protect me, right? Yixing smiled relaxedly, and looked at Lu Huiming with bright eyes. Of course Dad will protect you, but I'm afraid that sometimes I won't be able to take care of you. Lu Huiming frowned, looking a little embarrassed. Husband, you are so powerful, you will definitely take good care of our Sheng baby. Besides, Sheng is very smart, don't worry. Yishuan took over and looked at Lu Huiming with a smile. Well, Shaowan, don't worry. Lu Huiming's brows relaxed, as if he was instantly explained. Shaowan, you are really my interpretation flower. The two looked at each other affectionately, and while Yixing was aroused with goosebumps, he felt hypocritical and ridiculous. Mom and Dad, can you care about the feelings of a single dog? Yixing put down his fork and pretended to be angry and said. Yixuan was teased by her daughter, and her blush crawled up her cheeks, and she took the lead in withdrawing her gaze. Lu Huiming also coughed lightly and picked up the milk cup to cover it up. After breakfast, Yixing followed Lu Huiming out to the company. The moment the building of the E Group came into view, Yixing looked at it in a daze, looking at the fruits of his grandfather and grandmother's lifelong struggle, and his eyes were a little moist. In her previous life, after graduating from college, she was idle at home, and Lu Huiming offered to let her go to the company for an internship, but she refused. So much so that she didn't know anything about the company's operation later, and she didn't know if she was deceived. In this life, when Lu Huiming proposed to let her work in the company, she agreed, and she still remembers Lu Huiming's unnatural face at that time. He was sure that he would not agree, so he dared to propose again and again. Sheng, what's wrong? Wouldn't it be scary? After Lu Huiming parked the car, he saw Yixing standing still, and asked amusedly. No, it's just that I haven't been to the company for a long time, and I just feel unfamiliar. Yixing smiled and said, Dad, our company's building is so high, Dad is so powerful. Lu Huiming touched Yixing's head dotingly. In the future, these will be our Shengsheng's, really? Yixing looked at Lu Huiming excitedly. Of course, you are the only baby of my mother and me. Lu Huiming smiled gently. Yixing sneered in his heart when he heard this. You are afraid that you have forgotten your good son. I don't know how Song Ro felt when he heard you say this. Dad, let's go in, I can't wait. Yixing blinked playfully. I can't wait to unmask you, my dear father. Chapter 2. Everyone, come here. After Lu Huiming took Yixing through the onboarding procedures, he personally sent her to the floor where she was about to work, clapped his hands and summoned the employees who were working. Let me introduce to you, this is my precious daughter Yixing, who is also the company's immediate sales manager, and I hope you will cooperate with her work. Yi Huiming smiled like a spring breeze and had an amiable attitude. As soon as the words fell, the crowd became noisy, and the compliments in the eyes of Yixing were mixed with envy. They all quickly nodded and assured, expressing their welcome to Yixing with their actions. Hello everyone, I'm Yixing. It is an honor to have the opportunity to work with you. I have no experience, and I will rely on you to guide me in the future. Yixing bowed politely, smiling, revealing two shallow pair vortices, like the little girl next door without a sense of distance, and suddenly pulled a wave of goodwill. Manager E is polite. The employees were a little embarrassed. Sheng, Dad went up to deal with official business first. You take care of yourself, you can call Dad at any time if you have something to do. Lu Huiming touched Yixing's soft long hair and looked at her dotingly. Don't worry, Dad, I'm an adult, not a child. Yixing smiled and pushed Lu Huiming, his cheeks red. Haha, okay, my Sheng has grown up. Lu Huiming saw through it and walked to the elevator entrance with her strength. After exchanging pleasantries with everyone, Yixing entered the office under the leadership of his assistant. It seems that Yi Huiming has already made arrangements for her position, and the office has just been renovated. Yixing sat comfortably on the swivel chair, holding a pen in his hand to play. This morning, except for the assistant serving her tea and water, the door of her manager's office was never knocked. A sarcastic smile curled up on the corner of his mouth. Yi Huiming's attitude today is to ask everyone to treat her as a princess and wait for her to make trouble with him. Isn't she, the only future heir of the group, so incompetent? Just give him a reason to give up her? He can hold on to power openly, and he is also known as pampering his daughter. My grandfather and grandmother said in the will that if she had the ability, then when she graduated from college, Lu Huiming would gradually hand over the company's affairs to her, and the company's shares were transferred to Lu Huiming by 7%, and the remaining 53% were in Yixing's name. In other words, no matter what Lu Huiming's wishes are, as long as Yixing wants a company, then this company is hers. The two old people have long seen Lu Huiming's ambitions, and the reason why they still handed over the management of the company to him is just to hinder their daughter's face, and their daughter is really not a material for business, and this will is also to ensure the future life of their daughter and granddaughter. And they thought that the company would also give Yixing in the future anyway, and Lu Huiming was Yixing's biological father after all, and he couldn't cheat her. The will was only read internally in their family and not announced to the public. In her previous life, she was abolished as Lu Huiming wished, and in addition to eating, drinking and having fun, where could she think of the company, giving Lu Huiming enough time to transfer the company's assets? Now that the situation has changed, Lu Huiming is thinking of procrastinating, buying enough time for himself and leaving her an empty shell. The vibration of her phone on her desk interrupted her thoughts. Hey, Dad? The voice was delicate and soft, as if she was acting coquettishly. Sheng, it's time to get off work. Dad asked Secretary Lu to take you to dinner. Yi Huiming's gentle and thick voice came from the microphone. Where's Dad, won't you eat with me? I'm waiting for you in the restaurant, and I'll introduce you to a personal acquaintance later. Another young male voice could be faintly heard in the microphone. Okay, Dad, I still have something to tell you. While putting down the mobile phone, the office door was knocked, and the person who came was Secretary Liu. Following Secretary Liu to the company's staff cafeteria, Liu Huiming was sitting in the window seat, opposite a young man in a suit and leather shoes, with a handsome face and a warm smile. Sheng, come and sit down. Liu Huiming saw Yixing coming over and asked her to sit down next to him. Ziyuan, this is my daughter, Yixing. Hello, Miss Yi. I am Zhou Ziyuan, and it is a pleasure to meet you. Zhou Ziyuan stood up and stretched out his hand to her with a smile. It's a pleasure to meet you. Yixing got up and handed over his hand to shake with him. Separate with a gentle squeeze. While she was looking at Zhou Ziyuan, he was also looking at her. Yixing didn't see anything from him, but he intuitively felt that he would not be simple. He maintained just the right amount of politeness, which would not make people feel alienated or too eager. Sheng, Ziyuan is the company's financial director. You will have no less opportunities to work together in the future. Ziyuan's work ability is very good, you learn more from him. Liu Huiming smiled and said that Zhou Ziyuan is a young man he admires very much, and his ability is excellent on the one hand, and the key is to understand current affairs. How many years has Mr. Zhou been in the company? It looks very young. Yixing smiled innocently and harmlessly, as if he was just curious. It's been 5 years. Zhou Ziyuan replied with a smile. 5 years, that's right. My grandfather and grandmother died 5 years ago, and Liu Huiming also started acting from that time. If she guessed correctly, Zhou Ziyuan was from Liu Huiming's side. It seems that Dad appreciates you very much. Please don't hesitate to teach me in the future. Yixing said and blinked. Missy is serious, colleagues should make progress together. Zhou Ziyuan smiled, picked up the water glass on the table and took a sip. After lunch, it was lunch break, and Yixing followed Liu Huiming to his private lounge. Sheng, you're tired in the morning, go catch up on some sleep. Liu Huiming's eyes were soft. It's still a long afternoon, Dad, I'm not tired at all. Yixing pouted, looking a little unhappy. Dad, you won't just let me sit in the company, right? It's so boring. Why? Sheng is unhappy. Liu Huiming sat down next to Yixing and patted her on the shoulder. Dad asked you to come to the company, just to let you get in touch with more people, so as not to be bored at home every day. There are many people in the company, just leave the matter to them, and you can sit comfortably in the office, isn't it? Well, why don't you stay at home? Yixing turned sideways and didn't want to pay attention to him. Sheng is good, Dad doesn't want you to work, it's just that I'm afraid you'll be tired. Liu Huiming was half helpless and half spoiled. Dad, if I am afraid of being tired, I will not agree to come to the company. I want to learn to do something to make my dad less hard. Yixing's voice was muffled. He turned around and buried his head in Liu Huiming's arms. Dad, you work late every day, and you have gray hair. Liu Huiming patted her hand on the back and paused slightly, with a complicated expression. Sheng, Dad, I want to do something, I want to help you share the burden, okay? Yixing raised his head from his arms and looked at him with a pair of big eyes. Liu Huiming stared at her for a long time and sighed. Okay. In the afternoon of the same day, Yixing received Bohan's project information. Dad, you really didn't disappoint me. Yixing thought so. Chapter 3 Bohan is no stranger to Yixing. After all, in her previous life, when she was chasing Rong, she ran there every day, and the last time she was framed by the security guard, she lost all her face, and it became a joke in the Shenzhen celebrity circle. Rong Shi is the founder of Bohan, handsome and young, except for a cold temperament and is not easy to approach. He has almost no shortcomings, and is the perfect lover in the eyes of the public. In order to pick this high mountain flower, countless people fell miserably, and were finally dissuaded by reality, except for Yixing. At that time, she was still the little princess soaked in honey, naively thinking that she was special. No one would reject her, and Rong Shi was the same, but it was only a matter of time, and finally she was slapped in the face. Once again, she didn't want to have anything to do with Rong Shi anymore. Although the tragedy of her previous life was not caused by Rong Shi, it cannot be said that it has nothing to do with him. If she hadn't beaten Feng Mengchu, Rong Shi would not have refused to renew the contract with Yi's group, and Liu Huiming would not have seized this opportunity to create the illusion of poor management of the company and prepare for the company's bankruptcy later declared. According to the law of canon fodder, staying away from the male and female protagonists can save their lives. However, Bohan's project must be won. She hasn't grown strong enough yet, and she doesn't have the ability to compete with Liu Huiming. She also needs to buy time for herself. Closing the project book, Yixing clenched his hands tightly, and a firm look flashed in his eyes. Dong dong dong. Hearing the knock on the door, Yixing took a deep breath and calmed down a little. Come in, manager, this is the information you want, it's all here. Assistant Lin Qiu held a stack of materials. Put it on the table, thank you. Yixing smiled and said, what's wrong with your hand? Yixing sharply noticed that Lin Qiu's hand was red. It's nothing, I was burned by coffee, thank you manager for your concern. Lin Qiu quickly withdrew his hand, smiling a little reluctantly. Wait a minute. Yixing got up quickly and rummaged through his bag. Here you go. Saying that, he handed her a tube of ointment. Sorry, I didn't find a cotton swab, thank you. Thank you manager. Lin Qiu hesitated and took it. Apply the medicine quickly, it hurts, I was scalded 2 days ago. Yixing said with a smile, and after saying that, he lowered his head and began to look through the information sent by Lin Qiu. Lin Qiu stood in place for a while, turned around and walked out. When Lin Qiu went out, Yixing raised his head thoughtfully. After a while, Yixing got up and went to the bathroom, heard a faint sobbing, and couldn't help but pay attention. What are you crying about? There are no men here. A sharp female voice sounded. Sister Wang. It's not good for you to do this. The crying voice said weakly. Yixing heard this voice, it was Lin Qiu. What's wrong? Why did I work hard to become a regular immediately, but I ended up with an airborne soldier? The sharp female voice was quite indignant. What about the boss's daughter? I don't have the ability to get out of here as soon as possible. Sister Wang. Lin Qiu wanted to remind her to pay attention, but stopped talking. Humph, let you cry when you do this, who will you cry for? Wang Yu pinched her hatefully, didn't know what she thought, and twisted it again. Lin Qiu was in tears and said nothing. I get angry when I see you, just like you, I don't know how to get into the company. Wang Ling threw down this sentence, washed her hands and left the bathroom. Lin Qiu wiped her tears and stared at the mirror in a daze. Suddenly a face appeared in the mirror. Classic. Manager? Lin Qiu was startled, his face turned white, he turned around, clasped his hands behind his back, and subconsciously grabbed the sink. Isn't it, you, crying like this? Is it medicine that doesn't work? Yixing pretended not to hear anything, and asked with a little concern and some amusement. Lin Qiu opened his mouth and didn't know what to say. What am I? Give you half a day off and go to the hospital to have a look. Yixing turned on the faucet and jokingly, don't look back, don't say that I treated my subordinates harshly when I first took office. Lin Qiu was silent for a while, closed his eyes, and bit his lip. Manager, there is a problem with the information just now, can I get you a new one? Is there a problem? Why didn't I see it? Yixing blinked and asked curiously. It seems that some data is wrong. Lin Qiu explained, I'm sorry, manager, it's okay, it's good to know where it's wrong, blame me for being too vegetable. Yixing smiled and said, fortunately, it's still early, otherwise if something goes wrong when you turn back, Dad will definitely be disappointed. Patted Lin Qiu on the shoulder, go to the hospital after changing the information, your body is more important than work. After saying that, he turned around and left, returning to the office. Sure enough, it seems that my intuition is not wrong. The position assigned to her by Lu Huiming was not so easy to sit firm. Knowing that she was not liked by Rong Shi, he asked her to take over Bohan's project, knowing that the position of sales manager was regarded as something in someone's pocket, but he wanted her to win love. On the surface, she values her, but in fact she wants everyone to see her incompetence. Dear Dad, you really have good intentions. Yixing smiled, picked up the information on the table that hadn't had time to replace, and went out. Knocked on the door gently, and after getting a positive answer, Yixing pushed the door open. Sorry, I may need to disturb you, I don't know if Mr. Zhou is free? Zhou Ziyuan was slightly stunned when he saw that it was her, and quickly returned to his warm and elegant smile. Miss E, please sit down, I just have a little free time, haha, Mr. Zhou, you are so humorous. Yixing was amused by his serious joke, sat down opposite him, and opened the information he brought. That's right, Dad asked me to be in charge of Bohan's project. There is a lot of data in the data, I can't understand it. Yixing said and lowered his head, the tips of his ears slightly red. No. I can probably understand it. Zhou Ziyuan took the information with a smile and looked at it carefully. Yixing secretly complained, of course you can understand, you are the god of wealth of the company. The smile on Zhou Ziyuan's face gradually disappeared, his brows furrowed slightly, and after a long time, he looked up at Yixing. Miss E, where did you get this information? I asked my assistant to find it, what's wrong? Yixing looked at him suspiciously. Zhou Ziyuan was silent for a moment. I don't think Missy can't understand, right? His eyes were inquiring. Mr. Zhou, is there anything wrong with this information? I'm not good at math. So, if you have a problem, can you tell me directly? Yixing's brows were almost knotted, and he almost put 3 big question marks on his head. Zhou Ziyuan stared at her for a while, and said in a deep voice, this information has been tampered with, and there are many data errors, how come? Yixing exclaimed, incredulous. I breathed a sigh of relief in my heart. This person looked gentle, and his eyes could pierce you out. Zhou Ziyuan rubbed his eyebrows helplessly. Well, he overestimated her. I will discuss this matter with Mr. Liu, and I will ask someone to send you the correct information later. Mr. Zhou, you are too good. Thank you. Yixing smiled instantly when he heard that the problem could be solved, revealing a shallow pear vortex, like a child who eats sugar. Zhou Ziyuan once again confirmed that he was thinking too much. Chapter 4. The next day, Yixing took people to Bohan at the appointed time. Missy, you can't go in without an appointment. When the front desk lady saw that it was her, she didn't even bother to pretend to smile, rolled her eyes, and said angrily. Her colleague tugged at her sleeve, then smiled at Yixing and said, Does Missy have an appointment? If not, you really can't go in, we were warned last time you let me in. After saying that, he showed a look of embarrassment. Yixing remembered that she entered Bohan for the penultimate time, and she broke in, and she didn't know how much courage she had at that time. What nonsense are you talking to her? Where did she come back with an appointment? I don't know why the skin is so thick. She was silent for a while, and the front desk who spoke first couldn't bear it anymore, and her tone became a little sharp. Hey, how are you talking? We are here on behalf of Yees to talk about cooperation. A female employee who followed had a hot temper and scolded her back. Yo, you acted quite hard. The front desk spoke mockingly. Yes, she used this trick. When she came to Bohan to find Rong, she was full of tricks. Laughing at herself, she took out her phone. Secretary Fong, is it convenient for you to come down? You should have a record there. We made an appointment at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. After a while, a young woman in a black professional suit came out of the elevator. Missy, I'm sorry, the president has a meeting temporarily, let me take you to the reception room first. She smiled apologetically. It's okay, I'm sorry to trouble you. Yixing responded with a smile. Seeing this former rival again, she couldn't get a little excited. Fong Mengchu and her are two completely different types. She is a greenhouse flower that has been pampered and grown, and Fong Mengchu is a wild lily blooming in the stone crevice. A tenacious and independent woman is indeed admirable. Before Fong Mengchu left, he glanced at the front desk with a slight warning. She really has an appointment. The front desk who spoke first curled his lips and looked scornful. The front desk who pulled her sleeve didn't look very good, shouting, I told you to control your mouth. Fong Mengchu arranged them in the reception room, asked someone to pour them tea, and left. Yixing looked at the reception room slightly. It was her first time here. She had broken into Rong Shi's office directly. Because of her status as the eldest lady of the E group, no one really dared to stop her. Time passed minute by minute, and the tea had changed several pots, but Rong Shi still did not appear. Manager, what does Bohan mean by this? Leave us here. The hot-tempered female employee named Li Qingyan has just come to the company. Probably something. Yixing said lightly. She also felt a little bottomless. Although after being reborn, the plot did not progress to the point where she played Fong Mengchu, and it is difficult to guarantee that this project will still fail due to other factors. Everyone was a little irritated to wait, and they ran to the toilet several times. Finally, the door of the reception room was pushed open, and the big guy cheered up and looked over. I'm sorry, Miss E, the president is still in a meeting, and it won't be over for a while. Wait for Vice President Su to come over to negotiate with you, he is already on his way. Fong Mengchu said apologetically, his attitude was very sincere. Yixing sighed. Is not good to say anything, at least not in vain. After a while, Vice President Su appeared in Fong Mengchu's mouth. Hello, Miss E. He was wearing a pink sportswear and sat down opposite Yixing with a smile. Yixing's face trembled invisibly. This Su Juicy is really. As always, it's hard to say. I was so excited that I couldn't speak. Su Juicy raised his eyebrows, quite complacent. If it weren't for the anachronism, Yixing really wanted to roll his eyes at him. Of course, after all, Mr. Su is as handsome and charming as ever. Yixing responded with a smile. TSK, I love to hear this. I haven't seen you for a few days, and there is progress. Su Juicy raised his brows high, and crossed his legs. Where's the contract? Bring it over and let me take a look. Saying that, he stretched out his hand to Yixing. Yixing handed him the contract. Isn't it regressing if people don't make progress? I said, Yixing, where did you go to make up for the lesson? Why do you look much smarter? Su Juicy looked at the contract while being distracted and joking with Yixing. That's because Mr. Su, you have good eyes lately. Yixing didn't mind blowing a wave of business with him. It would be great if he could blow the contract down. Su Juicy said that he also felt that his eyes were good, otherwise how could he see at a glance that their price was high? I said, do you have to lower your price? We have to make money. Su Juicy put down the contract and looked at her with a smile. Mr. Su joked, according to the price we gave, your company's profit in the later stage will be several times higher. Yixing smiled and looked at him. They had already cleared the account, and the price was definitely within a reasonable range. Su Jusi leaned on the back of the chair, supported his chin with one hand, and crossed Erlang's legs little by little. Business is always risky. If the research and development is not successful, we will lose all our money, Mr. Su should believe in your company's capabilities. Yixing said with a smile. The hand on his side tightened, and sure enough, he was still nervous. That's true, but I don't want to talk about business now. Go play with me? Su Jusi smiled badly. Mr. Su, this is not suitable. It's working time. Let's negotiate the contract first, shall we? Yixing was stunned for a moment, and then continued to smile. She couldn't figure out Su Jusi's routine. He is always carefree, he doesn't have a proper appearance, and he can get involved in playing when talking about business, but he doesn't give in easily. It's so boring to talk about any contract. Su Jusi frowned. Well, I had a good time today. I signed the contract. What a big deal. After saying that, he got up directly from his chair. Can you go? With one hand in his pocket, he looked down at her, his tone urging. Yixing hesitated. You go back to the company first. After saying that, he followed Su Jusi out the door. Just walked out of the door, Yixing paused and met a person's gaze. The man seemed to be extremely bored with her, but he turned his gaze away in an instant. I just came to the company and left. Where are you going? A cold, slightly magnetic voice sounded in the empty corridor. Go play, what else can you do? Su Jusi said indifferently, it's not me who said, Rong Shi UTM is an animal, don't forget to squeeze me when you take a vacation, and remember to make up for my leave when you go back, that's a vacation you gave yourself. Rong Shi retorted lightly, deduct from the annual leave, damn, you are not Rong Shi. Su Jusi couldn't calm down anymore, and Rong Shi, an old beast, did what he said. Rong Shi glanced at him lightly and walked away expressionlessly. From beginning to end, he didn't give Yixing an extra look. Su Jusi complained on the spot for a while, seeing that Yixing was still in a daze, and suddenly thought of something. I said, you won't still think about that old animal, right? What a vision. After saying that, he looked at the direction he left in disgust. Of course not, people can't step into the same river twice. Walk, don't you want to play? Yixing smiled and urged, it was enough to be stupid once. Who's going to finish, can you speak? Su Jusi was still angry. Yixing. She didn't want to worry about a neuropath. Chapter 5, How is it, this place? Su Jusi took Yixing to a bar called Inue Undercurrent. He should have come often, and he found a good booth to sit down. Drinking a little wine, he asked with a smile. It's okay. Yixing smiled a little reluctantly. It was the first time she had come to this kind of place. It was too noisy, and the sound of heavy metal music gave her a headache. TSK, she looks like a good girl, and I don't know why there are so many ideas when I chase Rong. Su Jusi shook his head, put down his wine glass, and looked at the central performance. Yixing was not interested in those hot performances, and just blindly lowered his head and drank. Yo, isn't this Sheng? Suddenly, a clear male voice sounded overhead. Yixing looked up, and her little Qin Mu was hugging her good best friend Lin Pei with one hand, looking down at her slightly provocatively. What a coincidence, Qin Mutu. Yixing smiled back to him without showing weakness, lamenting in his heart that the road to the enemy was narrow. Other people's childhood sweethearts are close and friendly, but the two of them don't look at each other right. Sheng, how? Yu Linpei looked at Su Jusi opposite her, and hesitated to speak. Qin Mu also noticed that Su Jiu resigned. My vision is getting worse and worse. He said contemptuously. Su Jusi's tender pink body made his eyes hurt, and the women were chirping. Who are you talking about? Now Su Jiu quit and put down the wine glass he had just picked up. He was already angry, and now he had the urge to beat people. Who said they didn't have a little pressure in their hearts? Qin Mu spoke disdainfully, and did not give him a single look. Su Jiu was so angry that his nose was crooked. He stood up suddenly, grabbed Qin Mu's collar. UTM, tell me again. Huh. Qin Mu sneered, and with all his might, he broke Su Jusi's hand away. Su Jusi looked at his red hands, feeling that his personality was despised, and fire was about to erupt in his eyes. Qin Mutu, did you take the wrong medicine? Yixing saw that the situation was not right, and quickly spoke. Su Jusi can't be offended now. In case Qin Mu is angry, it will be too unjust. Humph. Qin Mu snorted coldly and tidied up the messed neckline. Young master, which sentence did I say wrong? Yi Shaoxing, such a little white face is worth your stand up for him? It really makes me look down on it. What are you talking about? Yixing paid attention to Su Jusi's emotions, and on the other hand, he was scolded by Qin Mu to the point of pain. But fortunately, the music was loud enough that their quarrel went unnoticed. I'm talking nonsense, hee hee. Mu sneered and looked at Sujusi. It's really unpromising to shrink behind a woman, and it's kind of going head-to-head. What is a head-to-head? You hurry up. Yixing pushed him, and at the same time gave Lin Pei a look. Lin Pei shook his head in embarrassment. Heads up, you say, how do you come here? Sujusi rolled up his sleeves and spoke angrily. Mu looked at him for a while, gave up his plan to confront him by force, recruited a waiter, and sent a batch of wine, all kinds of wine, which were served in cups and arranged in several rows. Can you drink? Mu looked a little suspicious, but there was nothing else in the bar except for drinking. It's okay, you will know if you drink it, less verbose. Sujusi spoke impatiently, picked up a glass and drank it all in one gulp, turned it upside down to let everyone see that it was clean, and looked at Mu defiantly. Don't be cowardly, I haven't lost in drinking yet. Hee hee. Mu smiled disdainfully, picked up the cup and drank it. Yixing looked at them speechlessly, unable to believe that these were two adults. Sheng, what should I do? Lin Pei watched the wine on the table decrease rapidly, a little worried, and his eyes were a little red. Can you drive? Yixing asked, with a cold smile in her heart. She was deceived by Lin Pei's weak appearance, not after reading the plot in the book. She didn't know that this good girlfriend approached her at the beginning for Mu, and when she encouraged her to chase Rong, it was also to vote for her. On the surface, he has a close relationship with her, but behind the scenes, he often makes fun of her with others. Lin Pei nodded. Do you know where he lives? Lin Pei nodded again. Just send him back later. After Yixing finished speaking, he sat down and played with his mobile phone without any business. Anyway, it definitely can't be stopped, so it's better to wait for the follow-up. After swiping Weibo for a while, a few messages popped up on WeChat. Lin Pei, Sheng, what the hell is going on? How are you and Rong Shi? Is there any progress? Lin Pei, you won't give up, will you? Lin Pei, Sheng, don't do anything that you regret. Yixing only felt ironic in her heart. If she had asked this before, she would definitely have to put her thoughts on the tray, but now, the corners of Yixing's mouth rose, revealing a shallow pear vortex. Yixing, what can I do if I don't give up? I don't see hope anymore. Lin Pei, as the saying goes, women chase men, and the separator yarn. Persistence is victory, you have to believe in yourself, Yixing. Then you say, what else can I do? I envy you so much, I have chased Mu. Lin Pei stared at his phone, a hint of panic flashing on his face. Lin Pei, I didn't chase Mu, I'm sorry I didn't tell you about me and him earlier. Lin Pei, I think you should be more proactive with Rong Shi, go to his company to find him more, deliver food or something, and when he feels your sincerity and gets used to your existence, he will not be far from success. Of course, pay more attention to whether there are any potential threats around him. When necessary, some extraordinary measures can be taken. After all, the process is not important, the result is the key. Really, it makes sense. Yixing's smile deepened, her good girlfriend was empathetic and resourceful, and she guessed her psychology thoroughly, and she was willing to bow down. If she didn't know the plot in advance, she would definitely take her advice and be grateful to her. However, now she will also repay her well. Falcon glanced at the side, the two of them were almost drunk, and Yixing turned off his mobile phone. How is it, can't it? Sujusi blushed and laughed at Mu, who had fallen down opposite. Mu heard the sound, struggled to raise his head from the table, and little white face. Said and fell down completely. Sujusi won him over, feeling comfortable, and didn't care about his scolding. Although he didn't drink down, his mind was already a little drowsy. Help me give Rong Shi a call. Sujusi said to Yixing, use my mobile phone. He added. Yixing felt relieved, took Sujusi's mobile phone, and found Rong Shi's number. After dialing, it was put in Sujusi's ear. Old beast, if you still have a little conscience, come and pick me up, Silver Moon Undercurrent. After saying that, he hung up. Did I send him back first? Lin Pei spoke. Yixing nodded, be careful on the road, well, you. Think about it clearly. After looking at Sujusi and then at Yixing, Lin Pei helped Mu out with the help of the bar staff. As soon as he walked out of the bar, Mu pushed Lin Pei away, and he didn't see the drunken appearance in the bar at all. Take a taxi back yourself. Leaving this sentence, he got into the car and contacted the driver early in the morning to start the car and leave. Leaving Lin Pei behind, drowning in the night. Lin Pei bit his lip unwillingly, but helplessly. After a while, he finally moved his steps and hired a taxi. Shortly after they left, a silver-gray Bentley slowly stopped at the door of the bar. Rong Shi was dressed in a black suit, his hair was meticulously combed to the back of his head, and his face was cold. After asking for the location, stride towards the destination. Chapter 6. While waiting for Rong Shi, Sujusi suddenly remembered the contract, and he was not a procrastinator, and he said that he would sign the contract when he had fun. Although I didn't play anything, I always drank happily, and I couldn't be untrustworthy. Immediately asked Sheng if he had a contract. When Rong Shi came over, Su Jusi just signed the contract. Put down the pen, work hard and have more knowledge. Look at who you are all about. It's obvious that I'm talking about Qingmu. Sheng looked at him speechlessly. This eldest brother was especially enthusiastic today. Hey, Rong Shi, you are interesting today. Su Jusi raised his head and saw Rong Shi approaching, and he was immediately happy. Rong Shi's tall figure and his unapproachable spirit were particularly eye-catching in the chaotic and noisy bar. There were a few bold beauties around him who glared at him, but they were all ignored. Rong Shi looked at Su Jusi with a slight disgust, frowning stimulated by the smell of alcohol, and frowning even deeper after seeing the contract spread out on the table. Let you negotiate a contract about the bar? The condescending gaze, with a slight sense of oppression, obviously disagrees with the approach of friends. Speaking of bars, what's going on? Do you look down on bars? I don't look down on you, don't come. Su Jusi became bold after drinking and scolded back. Rong Shi sneered angrily at him, turned around and was about to leave. He was crazy before he came. Hey, aren't you? When Su Jusi saw that he was leaving, he was anxious and stepped forward to grab him. Rong Shi disliked him so much that he tried his best to endure and did not get rid of him. I dare to sign a contract after drinking this virtue, and I have a long ability. After saying that, he looked at Sheng, who was trying his best to narrow his presence on the other side. Is Missy unscrupulous no matter what she does? Sheng, black question mark face. After Rong Shi finished saying this, he didn't mean to wait for her to answer. Can you go? He pulled Su Jusi with one hand and asked impatiently. Huh? Sheng thought he had heard it wrong, so he subconsciously screamed. I don't want Mr. Lu to take care of me tomorrow. After saying that, he dragged Su Jusi to the exit, regardless of whether Sheng followed or not. Sheng was stunned in place for a while, entangled for a while, but decided to follow. It was already very late at this point, and she came in Su Jusi's car, and she didn't drive her own car, so it was not convenient or safe for her to go back alone. Sheng opened the door of the back seat very consciously and was about to go up. Don't squeeze? Rong Shi spoke lightly, and the back seat was almost occupied by Su Jusi. Sheng hesitated for a while and went to the passenger seat. You don't have to play any tricks in front of me. After Rong Shi finished speaking, he started the car. Sheng's eyes darkened, and the corners of his mouth curled up with a mocking arc. Sure enough, inherent impressions affect people's judgments. Rong Shi probably thought that she was the Sheng who was pestering him, and if she was a little polite, she would be considered to be a person who wanted to capture her. But there is no need to explain anything, it doesn't matter. Silent all the way. Probably really tired of her, even if her family and Su Jusi's family were in the same direction and the distance was even farther away, Rong Shi still sent her home first. Before he could say a thank you, only the dust brought by the car was left in front of him. Sheng is back? As soon as I entered the house, I met Ishuan who came out of the studio. Mom, why haven't you rested yet? Sheng smiled sweetly and went up to hug his mother. You haven't come back, my mother is not at ease, so she just waits for you while drawing. Ishu smiled softly, with a little tiredness on his face. Where's Dad? Sheng rubbed Ishuan's soft body and said in a soft voice. Something happened to your Aunt Song, Dong Dong is sick, your father went over and took a look. Ishuan explained with a smile. Did you say when you would come back? Sheng continued to ask. No, it depends on the situation in Dong Dong. If you Aunt Song can't handle it alone, your father probably has to accompany them. Ishuan said and frowned slightly. Originally, I was also going to go, but your father didn't let me, saying that I was weak and afraid of getting sick. Don't look at this, I'm not very relieved. Alas, it's definitely okay to have a father over there. Mom, you should rest early. Sheng comforted. I can't say anything yet, until she has enough evidence and is capable enough to bring down Lu Huiming. Mom loves him too much, it's not a good thing to tell her too early, and she has to find a way to make her accept it little by little. Ishuan nodded, she was indeed a little tired. Baby, you should rest early, good night. When his mother's figure disappeared from sight, Sheng returned to his room and locked the door. Is there any progress? She found a private investigator early in the morning to closely follow Lu Huiming's actions. I have already taken an intimate photo of him and Song Ro. The private detective was in the building opposite Song Ro's house at the moment, and he could see her bedroom through the telescope. Do you need to send it to you now? No, just give it to me when the DNA is identified. Sheng said with a calm face. Putting down her phone, Sheng lay on the bed, staring at the ceiling in a daze. She felt a deep sense of powerlessness. Again, she only knew something in advance. She didn't become very powerful and smart because of this. The pain taught her to grow, but she didn't tell her what to do to solve the predicament. On Song Ro's side, she could easily get the evidence, but she couldn't do it to her easily. The company is even more Lu Huiming's world, and she has almost no way to start. And her time is very limited. She was like a stumbling child, only groping forward. Painful memories of her past life, fear of the future, haunted her every night, waking her up every night. And she can't do anything but persecute herself. All kinds of thoughts were intertwined in her mind, disturbing her to sleep all night. When I woke up in the morning, my eyes were blue and my complexion was not very good. After breakfast, Yixing went to the company alone. "Good morning everyone, you are all very early." Yixing greeted everyone with a smile. "Hello manager." Everyone also greeted her, and there were also some discordant voices. "We are not like Manager Yi, and we can still be chic during working hours." Wang Ling held a cup of coffee and said in a cool tone, "Look at Manager Yi's complexion, did you have a good time last night?" "Thank you for your concern, it's not bad, I'll treat you to dinner after get off work this afternoon to celebrate that we won Bohan's case." Yixing smiled happily, as if he didn't hear the sarcasm in Wang Yan's words. "Wow, thank you manager." Everyone cheered happily when they heard that the case was successful, especially those who followed that day. Last night, the manager didn't go to play, it was the people on Bohan's side who proposed to have fun and then sign a contract, and we all heard it. Li Qingyan spoke bluntly, completely ignoring Wang Ling's pale face. Wang Huan snorted coldly and went to her place with coffee. Everyone ignored her and was discussing what to eat at night. Yixing was a little curious, why did Wang Huan dare to target herself so obviously when she knew that she was a super relative? What does she rely on? Chapter 7. Guessing that Lu Huiming should come to work, Yixing went up to find him with the signed contract. When he arrived outside his office, he happened to run into Secretary Lu. "Good morning, Miss E." Secretary Lu said with a smile, holding a cup of coffee in his hand. "Good morning, Uncle Lu, is this for Dad?" Yixing asked with a smile, pointing to the coffee in his hand. "Mr. Lu is not in good spirits, let me make him a cup of coffee." "Is there anything wrong with Missy coming to Mr. Lu?" Secretary Lu asked with a smile. "Uncle Lu, just call my name directly, I'll send a contract to my father." Yixing said with a smile, raising the contract in his hand, "You just give me the coffee, then I'll trouble you." Secretary Lu did not refuse, and handed her the coffee directly. "Be careful of the scalding." "Got it, Uncle Lu, go get busy." Yixing held the document in his hand and took it with both hands. The door of the office was closed and opened with a gentle push. Lu Huiming was half lying on a chair with his eyes closed. Yixing walked in lightly, and the sound of the coffee cup touching the table alarmed Lu Huiming. He opened his eyes and saw that it was Yixing, showing a gentle smile. "Xing is here, sit down quickly." Yixing sat down opposite him. "Dad, what do you think this is?" Happily adjusted the contract in the direction directly facing him so that he could see it clearly. Lu Huiming saw the two big characters Bohan on the paper, and his eyebrows jumped. "I guessed right, right?" he asked uncertainly, and the drowsiness was swept away. "Of course not, Dad, what is your expression?" Yixing said unhappily. "Dad is just a little too surprised, don't be angry." Lu Huiming immediately regained his gentle smile. "My Xing has really grown up, and my father is afraid that you will come to me to cry his nose, but I didn't expect that I was too worried." Lu Huiming took the contract, looked through it carefully, and saw the signature on the last page. "Didn't Rong Shi talk to you?" "No, Dad, I'm angry when I say this. Rong Shi is simply hateful, he left us hanging for so long, and finally called a vice president to talk to us." Yixing clenched his small fist and was indignant. "Vice President Su is not difficult for you, right?" Lu Huiming asked with concern. "That's not true, others are very good, and they took me to play." Yixing mentioned Su Jusi, and his face improved a little. "Oh? Where did he take you?" Lu Huiming only knew that when Yixing was chasing Rong, he hadn't heard much about her and Su Jusi. "Bar, it's fun." Yixing's eyes were bright, as if he was still unsatisfied. Lu Huiming was silent for a while. Xing, you should stay away from Vice President Su in the future. After being with him for a long time, my mind has changed." "Why?" "He was very interesting." Yixing didn't understand. Xing, do things with a beginning and an end." Lu Huiming's meaningful sentence. Yixing pretended not to understand and looked at him suspiciously. Xing, Dad doesn't interfere in your private relationship matters. But this Su Jusi is not suitable for you." Lu Huiming sighed, speaking earnestly, like an ordinary old father. "Dad knows that you like that kid Rong Shi, and he's really good. So you chased him, and Dad never said anything. But you can't lower your standards just because you can't catch him. You are still young, you can take your time." Yixing sneered in his heart, but his mouth was coquettish. "Dad, what did you say?" "Su Jusi and I are friends. Her dear father is afraid that she is not enough to die, hee hee." Okay, friend. Lu Huiming admitted defeat, but Sheng performed so well this time. Dad will invite you to dinner in the evening, let your mother come too. Our family hasn't come out for a long time. Oh, Dad, you didn't say it earlier. Yixing frowned when he heard this, looking very distressed. I promised the employees to treat them to dinner in the evening. Lu Huiming was slightly stunned, but he didn't expect Yixing to have this exquisite mind. Under the pampering of him and Yixuan, Yixing can be said to be a little sophisticated, except for being well-behaved, useless. Since you have an appointment first, let's do it next time. He shook his head as he spoke, looking very regretful. Yixing struggled for a while and could only nod. Dad, I'm going to work. The voice was muffled, and it lived up to the joy when it came. The joy and anger are all on the face, like a child. Seeing Yixing's figure disappear from sight, Lu Huiming chuckled, probably because there have been too many things recently, and he will always think too much unconsciously. Yixing is still the daughter who was spoiled by him, and she can think of inviting her subordinates to dinner. Probably someone has mentioned her. Touching her chin and thinking for a moment, it was probably her best friend, as if her name was Lin Pei. He has seen it once or twice, and he is a smart girl. Even if his mind is a little crooked, it doesn't matter. What can two little girls toss? Lu Huiming sneered. After figuring it out, he put it down, and Lu Huiming began to deal with the stacked documents, most of which were tired from yesterday. The phone vibrated, and Lu Huiming saw the name displayed on it and smiled gently, which was more real than facing Yixing. Aro, Huiming, it has cooled down recently, remember to add clothes. I knitted a scarf for you, I forgot to give it to you yesterday, see when you have time to take it off. Because Yixing agreed to invite dinner, the employees were very motivated to work. I completed the day's work share ahead of schedule and packed up when I was about to get off work. Lin Xiao, hand me a tissue, I run out of tissues. Li Qingyan looked at the small mirror and said while checking her makeup. Okay. Lin Xiao said and reached for the tissue on the table. What are you arguing about? Off work? Wang Yu came out of the office, frowning, and her tone was very rushed. She has been accumulating power for a long time, and everyone is a little jealous of her, and she didn't dare to be strong with her in front of her before. Hearing her words, they all silently retracted their seats and pretended to work. Lin Xiao, come in for me. After scanning her eyes, Wang Ling said to Lin Shi. Lin Xiao's face turned pale instantly when he heard this, and he lowered his head and was at a loss. Are you deaf? Think that signing a contract is a big hero? Seeing her standing still, Wang Huan became even more angry. Lin Xiao, help me take this document and make a copy, use it urgently. Yixing hurriedly came out of the office, and without waiting for Lin Xiao's reaction, he handed her a stack of materials. After giving it, I realized that the atmosphere was wrong. What's wrong? Deputy Manager Wang asked Lin Xiao to go to her office. Li Qingyan boldly explained. Is there anything urgent about Deputy Manager Wang looking for Lin Xiao? If not, can you wait a while? I will wait for this document to be used urgently, and I have to send it to Mr. Lu before get off work. Yixing looked at Wang Ling and asked politely. Won't change people? Wang Yu asked. What's wrong? Suddenly inserted a male voice, it was Zhou Ziyuan. Not much. Wang Yu snorted coldly, turned around and entered the office, and vigorously took the door. What happened? Zhou Ziyuan was a little confused, he just passed by to see that the atmosphere was not right, and just asked. Deputy Manager Wang probably wants to train people, so fierce. Yixing made a fearful expression. Zhou Ziyuan couldn't help but laugh. I heard that your contract negotiations were successful, congratulations. Zhou Ziyuan smiled. Haha, thank you. We are about to go to the celebration banquet, do you want Director Zhou to join us? Yixing smiled and asked politely, speaking of which, you have credit for this, It is better to be respectful than to obey orders. Zhou Ziyuan hesitated for a moment and agreed. Chapter 8 Tonight's dining venue is booked in Shexianjuan, which is a relatively famous Sichuan restaurant with excellent taste and service. Because there were a lot of people, I simply booked a large box. The dishes were ordered early in the morning, and they came over and started eating directly. Everyone was colleagues, familiar with each other, plus Sheng and Zhou Ziyuan were relatively easygoing, and the atmosphere was very good. Come, let's drink one together, thank you all for your hard work in the past few days. Yixing raised his wine glass and stood up. Manager, your cup is filled with juice, it's not interesting enough. A male employee said jokingly. Except for a few people who could not drink due to physical reasons, the cups were filled with wine. Yixing was slightly stunned and smiled, I'm sorry, I was negligent, wait for me to change the cup. Indeed, everyone is holding wine, and it is not appropriate for her to use juice. I took a clean cup and poured another glass of wine. The slightly spicy liquid entered her throat, choking her a little uncomfortable, and her little face turned red. She roughly counted her amount of alcohol, and then everyone toasted her, and she took a sip lightly. Seeing that she was not drinking well, no one said anything. Even so, Yixing still drank a little too much. The temperature in the box was high, she felt a little dizzy, and the whole person was hot. While everyone was playing the wine table game, Yixing proposed to go to the bathroom. As soon as he went out, he met a cold gaze, and when he saw the person coming clearly, Yixing laughed. In the past, I had to pester him every day but couldn't find anyone, but now I want to stay away from him, but I can always meet him. Because of her smile, Rong Shi's eyes became even colder, like frost. As I said, you don't have to bother with me. The voice was also cold, with a faint impatience. Anyone who sees someone he hates every day will not be in a good mood. Yixing smiled even brighter. I'm sorry, I really didn't come with you today, I still have something to do, so I'll leave first. After saying that, he turned around and left Rong Shi behind. Rong Shi's prejudice against her is really deep-rooted, although she did it herself, but his attitude is really unpleasant. When I like you, you are my whole world, I don't like it anymore, you don't even count as a fart. Rong Shi sneered and was about to move when the door of the box next to him opened. Mr. Rong? Zhou Ziyuan was a little surprised to see him here. This is a busy person, flying all over the world all year round. Rong Shi nodded in response. Director Zhou has entertainment? No, it's an ordinary coworker party. Have you seen Missy? She just went out. Zhou Ziyuan said with a smile. Rong Shi was silent for a moment. She went over there. After that, he ignored Zhou Ziyuan and left directly. Thank you, Mr. Rong. Zhou Ziyuan was a little surprised by his attitude, but he still thanked his back, and at the same time said to himself, sure enough, I went wrong. Rong Shi didn't walk far, so naturally he heard his words clearly, and suddenly his mood was complicated. After Zhou Ziyuan got the instructions, he strode in the direction of Yixing's departure and quickly caught up with her. Missy, you are going in the wrong direction. Zhou Ziyuan reminded. Yixing looked at him confusedly. Isn't that a bathroom? She pointed to the sign ahead. The bathroom here is under repair, so you have to go to the other side. Zhou Ziyuan reminded that he had been here before, and found that it could not be used, so he asked the waiter to find out. Guessing that Yixing didn't know, and he didn't really want to play the wine table game, he came out to breathe, just to remind her. Huh? Yixing was drunk and his reaction was a little sluggish. This confused look reminded him of his little niece, and he couldn't help but feel a softening in his heart. I'll take you there. Yixing nodded and followed him obediently. On the way, he actually met Rong Shi again. Zhou Ziyuan smiled and greeted him, and was about to continue walking, when Yixing behind him suddenly looked at Rong Shi with a smile. Rong Shi, you won't be waiting for me here, will you? Rong Shi looked at her silently, expressionless. Why don't you speak, are you shy? Ha ha ha. Yixing smiled happily, obviously convinced of what he said. Hearing this, Zhou Ziyuan and Rong Shi had the same expression that was indescribable. Let me tell you, it's useless to be shy, don't think that I will continue to like you while waiting for me, it doesn't exist. Yixing showed a small arrogant expression, indicating that he also had a temper. Mr. Rong, Missy is probably drunk, don't worry about her. I'll take her to the bathroom first. Zhou Ziyuan smiled apologetically, and was about to help Yixing. Heh, I didn't expect Missy to have this confidence. Rong Shi sneered and said, Missy, don't forget what you said today. Who do you look down on? Do you think you have a good memory? Humph. Yixing glared at him without showing weakness, and without needing to be helped by Zhou Ziyuan, he walked away with a step. Her wobbly appearance made Zhou Ziyuan a little uneasy, and hurriedly said goodbye to Rong Shi and chased after him. Is this your nature? It's really an eye-opener, but it's much more pleasing to the eye than the hypocritical and pretentious appearance. Rong Shi thought so, and the elevator happened to come, so he stopped staying and walked in. On that day, Yixing was sent home by Zhou Ziyuan in advance. It was already the next morning when she came to full consciousness, and when she recalled what she had done, she had the urge to strangle herself. I was about to go to work when I was stopped by Yixuan. Baby, why are you dressed so formally? Yixuan raised her head from the magazine and looked at her suspiciously. Mom, I have to go to work, I'm going to be late. Yixing looked eager, she had just started working, and if she was late, it would not have a good impact. It's the weekend, baby. Yixuan smiled when she heard this. Yixing heard this and was stunned on the spot. She was afraid that she was drunk stupidly. Come and chat with your mother for a while. Yixuan patted the empty seat beside her. Yixing sat down obediently, put his arms around Yixuan, and leaned on her. Baby, why do you always feel uneasy lately? Yixuan's eyebrows frowned slightly. I always feel that something is going to happen. I had a strange dream a few days ago, and I dreamed that your father was going to divorce me. How is this possible? Yishuan shook her head amusedly, thinking of her husband. Her eyes were gentle. Yixing moved his lips, not knowing what to say. Your father, you just don't know how to cherish yourself. You have to go on a business trip this weekend, and you don't know how to take a good rest. Yishuan sighed, baby, you can't learn from your father, the work is endless. Look at your grandfather, there are so many problems in the body when you are old, isn't it just that you didn't pay attention when you were young? Let's go to the beauty salon with my mother to relax today. Yixing nodded and couldn't help but ask, Mom, are you really not worried about your father falling in love with others? Yishuan was stunned for a moment when she heard this, and then smiled and said to him, how could it be? You see, he goes home except for work, how can he have that energy? Besides, your father spoils you a lot, just for you, and he won't either. Don't think of your father like that, he will be sad. Yishuan said and began to educate Yixing. It's like this every time, when she and Lu Huiming have a conflict, her mother will definitely stand on his unity line. She has known since she was a child that she can refute her mother, but she must not refute her father. Lowered his head, hiding the bitterness on his lips, and his voice was relaxed. Got it, Mom, I'll just ask. Chapter 9. It was still early, so the mother and daughter went to the mall first, had lunch, and after asking people to send the loot home, they came to the beauty club they frequented. Because they had made an appointment in advance, they were taken directly to the fixed box. Mrs. Lu, you haven't been here for a long time, this is the daughter of the Ling, right? The beautician asked with a smile. Yishuan nodded, I've always felt tired lately, come and relax. It just so happened that Sheng was also on vacation and asked her to accompany me. Miss Lu looks really like you, they are both great beauties. The beautician praised. Sorry, my surname is Yi. Yixing smiled and reminded. The beautician was slightly stunned and stopped, continuing the topic. The dressing room is here, please change your clothes first. Not wanting to see Yishuan's reaction, Yixing nodded and entered the dressing room. Her surname is Yi, which means her grandparents, and her mother has never agreed with it from the beginning, and she feels that this is disrespectful to Lu Huiming. But it was originally agreed that it was a marriage, and it was agreed that the first child would be surnamed Yi and the second would be surnamed Lu. However, the second child left this world before he was born, and even his mother was injured. Not being able to give birth to a child surnamed Lu for Lu Huiming is a regret of my mother. She mentioned changing her surname several times, but her grandparents refused, and after a long time, she gradually stopped thinking about it. Her direct rebuttal just now must have been blamed by her mother a little. She didn't care before, but now she couldn't bear to look at it. Changed clothes and came out, as if nothing had happened. With soothing music and just the right amount of strength from the beautician, Yixing closed his eyes relaxedly and enjoyed quietly. Baby? The low call in his ear made Yixing frown. Sheng, wake up, we also made an appointment with your auntie. Yishuan said softly, gently pinching Yixing's nose. The slight discomfort made Yixing open his eyes. Mom, baby, have you been too tired lately? Yishuan's eyes showed distress. Can you let your father give you a few more days off? Yixing sat up from the small bed, rubbed his eyebrows, felt that he was in a much better state, and smiled lightly. No, Mom. I have to work harder and become as good as my dad, you kid. Yishuan tapped her forehead lightly and smiled helplessly. It was already 3 o'clock in the afternoon when I came out of the beauty salon, and I made an appointment with Yishi for afternoon tea, in a cafe near the beauty club. When they got there, Yishi also happened to come over, and the two met at the door of the cafe. Xiaomu is so good today. Yishuan looked at Qinmu, who got out of the car, and said with a smile. I also wonder why he didn't go out to play today. Yishi said with a smile, but he also sent me over, unlike Sheng, who was willing to accompany you all day. Stinky boys are just not as considerate as their daughters. After saying that, he glanced at his son with a slight disgust. Qinmu touched his nose. Mom, you don't have a conscience when you say this. When am I not on call? No one is looking for you to play, of course, on call. Yishi ruthlessly exposed him. Okay, let's go quickly, don't get in the way here. If Xiaomu is okay, let him take Xingxing to play. She has been working in addition to work recently, and I am afraid that she will be exhausted. Yishuan said, couldn't help but sigh. Did you hear it? Do you have time to squeak? Yishi saw that her son was silent for a long time, and urged impatiently. Squeak. Qinmu cooperated very well with his mother. Xiaomu, this child, is just interesting. In the afternoon, Xingxing will be handed over to you, and your mother and I will chat for a while. Yishuan said and pushed Yixing, you can't just sleep and work, I want you to play more like before. Got it, Mom, don't worry. Yixing nodded obediently. Her parents didn't know about her personal grudge with Qin Mutu. On the surface they had to be good friends. After the two parents left, the two looked at each other and discussed tacitly, and were about to take the next step, when they turned around and went their separate ways. Qinmu spoke. Yi Shaoxing, don't accompany your mother on the big weekend, don't make a fuss, right? Qin Mu frowned, put his hand in his trouser pocket, and looked at her coldly. What's your business? Yixing glared at him angrily. This guy's annoying skills became more and more refined. I'll just say, the little white face is unreliable, you have time to match your eyes. Qin Mu admitted it and said contemptuously. Yixing looked at him for a while with foolish eyes. Qin Mutu, I call you Wood, don't you really be a Wood, right? TSK, for the sake of growing up together, I advise you to go to the brain department when you have time. Don't dare to take anyone with you. Of course, Yixing was talking about Lin Pei, although she didn't need to remind the two that it was the result of breaking up, but Qin Mu was really pitted by Lin Pei, and was almost stuffed back into his stomach by his mother to recreate it. Yi Shaoxing, I should say this to you. Qin Mu is not a temperamental, on the contrary, he has a very bad temper. If it weren't for Yi Shaoxing, who dared to say this, he would definitely beat his own mother to deny it. What are you doing? Yixing was suddenly grabbed by his arm and shouted angrily. Master, I want to spend money today, so I'll take you with glasses. Stuffed her into the passenger seat and locked the door. Go around to the other side and sit in the driver's seat and start the car directly. Qin Mutu, you are sick. Yixing buckled his seat belt while glaring at him angrily. Drive me slowly, if you don't want to die, I still want it. After saying that, he closed his eyes and didn't bother to look at him. Damn. Qin Mu exploded angrily, and the speed of the car still slowed down. After a while, Qin Mu stopped the car. Get off. He shouted to Yixing, who was closing his eyes on the co-pilot. Yixing pushed open the car door, thinking that he really brought himself to match glasses, but he didn't see it right. What are you doing here? Watch a movie, your favorite star is called Shen, there is a movie on the screen. Qin Mu frowned and explained. His name is Shen. Yixing added that Shen is a male star she likes very much, with a defying appearance and explosive acting skills, which is the dream of thousands of girls. Before meeting Rong Shi, she was a die-hard fan of him, and then she paid much less attention. Oh. Qin Mu said perfunctorily, do you want to see it? What film? No. Let me see. Qin Mu took out his mobile phone, science fiction movie, okay, let's go. It's very interesting to read the profile, and there is the face of a male god, Yixing has no reason to refuse. Qin Mu followed behind, the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Hey, what are you looking at? Shen came out of the store and handed Rong Shi a bottle of water, seeing that he had been staring in one direction, and asked curiously. It's nothing, let's go. Rong Shi retracted his gaze, with a faint mockery on his face, another one. Chapter 10. The movie is about holographic online games, the special effects are great, the plot is compact, and the blood boils to watch. Coupled with the appearance of the male god, Yixing can give this movie full marks. After nearly 2 hours, Yixing just held back and didn't go to the bathroom, and he couldn't help it as soon as it was over. Qin Mutu, help me hold the bag and wait for me at the door. Throwing down this sentence, Yixing hurriedly left. Qin Mu burst into foul language, obediently hugged her pink and tender bag and walked to the door of the cinema, gaining countless star eyes along the way. After blowing in the cold wind for a long time, my hairstyle was messed up, and I still didn't wait for anyone. Rubbing the ground with his heels irritatedly, he decided to go in and find someone. The hall, which was originally crowded, was extremely crowded at this time, and at a certain point it was even more crowded, and there was a tendency to move closer to that side. Qin Mu's brows furrowed tightly, and at this moment he finally remembered his mobile phone, opened it, and saw several missed calls from Yixing, and finally a WeChat message. Qin Mutu, there are too many people I can't get out, let's see you at the back door. The sending time was 7 minutes ago, and Qin Mu's rare patience was used at the wrong time. In annoyance, he grabbed his already messy short hair and ran outside, going around the front door to the back door. Yixing really didn't expect such a coincidence, and he could meet Rong Shi after watching a movie. If she was narcissistic, she would think that Rong Shi was intentional. But obviously, Rong Shi thought so, and his face was clearly disgusted. Neither of them wanted to talk to each other, and after an awkward silence for a while, Qin Mu finally came. Are you robbing? Yixing subconsciously harmed him. Not to mention, Qin Mu was dragging a bag that didn't match his temperament at all, his hair was messy, and there was a thin layer of sweat on his forehead, which really looked like he had done something bad. Damn, Yi Shaoxing, you crossed the river and demolished the bridge to play really well. Qin Mu immediately took off his bag and threw it to Yixing, gasping for breath urgently, with sparks in his eyes. Young master, I will care about you as a dog next time. Wow, oh, I'll call you for it, no thanks. Yixing looked at him with a smile, slowly gesturing the strap of the bag. Mr. Rong, you see, I really didn't follow you on purpose. I said this last time, right? Mr. Rong's memory is really worrying. Yixing mocked. Anyway, she didn't care about Rong Shi anymore, so why did she have to endure it? She used to think that everything was good when she looked at him, but now she only felt that she was blind at the beginning. Huh. Rong Shi sneered and left without looking back. TSK, Yi Shaoxing, you are really promising. In the past, in front of this guy surnamed Rong, if you had as many grandsons, you would have as many grandchildren. After Qin Mu watched the interaction between the two, the anger he was provoked by Yixing suddenly disappeared, and he felt comfortable physically and mentally. Do you want to take care of it? Yixing rolled his eyes. Is there any arrangement? If not, send me back. What's the rush? Your mother has explained that she wants to take you to play more. Qin Mu showed a ruffian smile. Chick, can you go to the video game city? Brother will show you the world, let's go. Not bothered to look at his demeanor, Yixing turned around and walked directly to the parking lot. After a crazy afternoon and evening with Qin Mu, it was already past 9 o'clock when he got home, and Yixing was tired and felt alive at the same time. After coming back, she was too depressed in her heart, and all kinds of negative emotions accumulated, which made her feel that life was boring for a while, and the only support was revenge, tearing off Lu Huiming's hypocritical skin. After taking a bath, there were several WeChat unread messages on my phone. Lin Pei, Xing, do you know what Qin Mu is doing? Lin Pei, he hasn't answered my phone and hasn't replied to my messages, I'm a little scared. Lin Pei, Xing, can you help me ask him? I know you don't like him, but, Lin Pei, Xing, I know it's difficult for you. If you don't want to, forget it. After reading Yixing one by one, he had mixed feelings. How I was so stupid before. Forcing things to spin around? This screen full of is about to overflow. After thinking about it, I replied, what happened? Why should you be afraid? He came back quickly. After I sent him back to the bar last time, something happened to us. He seems to have misunderstood me. I'm panicking. What should I do? Yixing's heart chuckled. Lin Pei's plot wouldn't be in advance, right? In the book, Lin Pei took advantage of Qin Mu's drunkenness to climb into his bed, but in fact nothing happened to the two, and then she pretended to be pregnant. Qin Mu resolutely refused to admit it, and was beaten up by his mother after finding out and locked up at home. Lin Pei got a sum of money, and then there was no news. However, that was Lin Pei's approach after completely recognizing the essence of Qin Mu. Is it so fast, Yixing? Pei, can you make it clearer? Otherwise, I don't know how to talk to Qin Mu. Lin Pei, I didn't expect him to be like that when he was drunk, really, I couldn't earn him. Lin Pei, Xing, you are my best friend, promise me, don't tell me, okay, really afraid of what's coming, Yixing smiled helplessly. Yixing, don't worry, I will definitely help you ask, don't panic, take care of yourself. Lin Pei, thank you, Xing. If you don't help me, I really can't help it. Putting down his mobile phone, Yixing frowned and thought for a while, and searched for a very popular Overlord novel from the internet to share with Qin Mu. The heroine in it is the White Lotus character, and the plot is similar, but the man's attitude is different. Qin Mu, Yi Shaoxing, you are poisonous, right? What kind of garbage is this? Qin Mu looked at the spicy eyes on the pink cover in disgust. Yixing, look, the special medicine for brain damage, teeth. Qin Mu clicked on the first chapter with a boring mentality. The next morning, Qin Mu came to the door with 2 big dark circles under his eyes. As soon as Yi Shuan walked away, he rushed over and pressed Yi Shaoxing, I strangled you to death, and the young master was almost poisoned by you. Said it was pinching, but in fact, there was no force in his hand at all. Yixing smiled without guilt. Qin Mutu, you actually finished reading it, ha 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 ha. As soon as you look at his depressed appearance, you know it's all night. Out of the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of Yi Shuan coming over, and Qin Mu snorted coldly and let her go. Didn't Xiaomu rest well? Yi Shuan looked at him with concern. Come on, eat some fruit, it's just a little insomnia, thank you, auntie. Qin Mu smiled and took an apple from the fruit plate and put it in his mouth. It's so sweet, yes, I like to eat more. Yi Shuan smiled and said, do you have any arrangements today? I'm going to listen to a concert, I had a lot of trouble yesterday, and I'm slow today. Qin Mu said, auntie, I have 2 tickets for Master Ouyang's painting exhibition, do you need them? Yi Shuan showed a rare expression of surprise, then thank you Xiaomu, I'm worried that I didn't buy a ticket. Because the news was received late, she asked people to buy tickets that were sold out. Auntie, you're welcome, I also happen to be a friend who gave me 2, I don't understand this thing, it's a waste. Qin Mu smiled and said, go back and ask someone to send it to you. After coming out of Yixing's house, Qin Mu immediately regained his stinky face. Qin Mutu, are you still angry? Yixing asked with a smile, what I said is true, this book is useful. Read more, grow wiser, don't you feel anything after reading it? Qin Mu slapped the steering wheel heavily, the male protagonist TM inside is mentally retarded, that's right, you can see that he is mentally retarded, which means that you have improved. Yixing smiled with relief and sincerely praised, it's a good thing to attract women to like, and you have to be more careful, There are too many inconsistencies, and if you are not careful, you will suffer. Qin Mu, Yi Xiaoxing, I have to suspect that you like me and care so much about my emotional problems. After a while, Qin Mu looked at her with complicated eyes and said.